please join me in welcoming Hugo Hernández.
The tech is not the problem; it's the way we apply it. I've seen so many people, talented people, creating impressive tech demos that are not leading to anything. One of the signals you should take a step back is when you realize you haven't visited your family. The idea was to use technology to lower the cost of production, so we could allow NGOs, schools to afford this kind of products and create like games like for learning.
Welcome to Keeping Up with the SASIs. On this podcast, we uncover the project, challenges, failures, and successes of sustainability and social innovators. Today, we have the pleasure of being joined by a special guest. He's a true entrepreneur. He has a passion for technology and has a passion for sustainability. And I can say that he's also a person that is always trying to look for the good in people. So please join me in welcoming Hugo Hernández. How are you doing, Hugo? Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Juan Pablo. I'm glad to be here.
Where are you talking us from?
I'm in Paris. Actually came back to Paris 2 weeks ago, but back home.
Where were you? Where were you before Paris?
I spent 1 month in Mexico.
Wow, 1 month.
Yeah.
Was it for work or pleasure?
A bit of both, actually. Yeah, I was at how come I say this at a turning point, and I decided to travel a bit to take some distance on things and get a different perspective. And I ended up visiting some friends in Mexico and staying way longer than I anticipated, and I loved it.
And do you speak Spanish?
Yeah, now I do.
Okay.
No, it was very interesting because I spoke Portuguese, but so I couldn't understand Spanish when I got there, but like every time I tried to speak Spanish, Portuguese came out. But after a few weeks, the switch was complete, and now I try to maintain my Spanish. But
And are you trying to? Were you traveling in a region, or were you trying to travel the whole country?
I stayed around the Mexico City, and honestly, I felt like even in 1 month I barely scratched the surface. But I would definitely love to go back and see more.
Yeah, sure. And I guess you were for the Independence Day, if you say 1 month.
Yeah.
It
was an experience.
Yeah, I think it must have been very cool because they have like special dishes just like for this day, as is the case of like Christmas. The dishes that you only make 1 year round.
The chile en nogado.
Yeah.
It was a bit sweet for me, but maybe because of the restaurant I tasted it in. But also like the city was, from the people I stayed with there, it told me like all the cities eat unapologetic Mexican at this time.
Okay.
It was very nice.
Well, very cool. So now I guess let's talk about why we're talking, and it's actually to hear from you your story since you left the program and the way you have become co-founder at your own company. So maybe can you walk us a little bit of what has happened in the past years?
Yeah, it's been quite a ride. So let me just start by saying, like, when I came to SASI, I didn't know what I was going to do after, and I didn't really envision going into entrepreneurship. It was not something I planned for. But honestly, it was maybe like the best outcome I could have hoped for this matter, because I had the chance to partner with one of our professors. And like before doing SASI, I was doing AI research at the École Normale Supérieure, that we maybe speak to the French students, and I wanted like to connect the dots No, I didn't want to do a PhD because I felt if I did that, I would only, talk to the same old people in the same little room for
Yeah.
the next 15 years. And I didn't want not to have an impact on things, but I didn't know how to have like this impact.
Mm-hmm.
And creating our company, which was peculiar. So to put it simply, we created a game studio. You could ask me,
Okay. And
what's the link between sustainability and game studio and a game studio? Well, I've always been like a believer in the ability of games to nudge people,
mm-hmm.
to change to encourage them to do things, to motivate them to do things. And I've always found it quite sad that this power was used for bad.
Yeah.
Like, like you go in the subway, and especially back in 2019, like you would see like 10, 15 people just playing Candy Crush mindlessly on their phone.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was like, okay, if we could use this attractivity to motivate people to learn stuff or to contribute to social causes, data annotation, stuff like that, we could do a lot of good. But, and that's where AI comes in, creating a game still is, but especially at the time was a very expensive process.
Mm-hmm.
So, you could be like a solo developer and you could create like your little game, or you could be like a big company creating a game. But if you're, I don't know, like the European Space Agency, or you're the Institut Pasteur and you want to create a game, no
Mm-hmm.
one will give you the budget to do that because it's just too expensive. So
Mm-hmm.
the idea was to use technology to lower the cost of production, so we could allow NGOs, schools to, well, afford this kind of products and create like games like for learning, raising awareness, things like that. That's the inception of World Game, the company I created.
Mm-hmm. So after the program, you went into creating this company, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we created it in 20. Actually, the funny story. It started as the business project. Like
Okay.
we have to do.
Yeah.
So like I went into like our teachers like the company, and we started the business project, and it went very well. And after we we realized, okay, like this is working very well. We should create a company, and we should keep working together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did. And initially, I started as a CTO.
Okay.
Because actually, like, I mean, I knew how to code for my research back then, but I was not a professional developer, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to level up quite a bit during COVID. That's what the main thing I did during the lockdown,
Yeah.
just coding. And someone had to do the prototypes. So that's how I came into this position
Mm-hmm.
in a new company. But after like we started like to recruit more people, and I took up more of a management role after a few months.
I see. So you were three when you started?
Yeah. We were three co-founders. So it was me, so on the technical side. There was like Alexandre Cadin, our CEO, and
Mm-hmm.
Alexis Rose, which was our game director. Like it was like, like the three pillars of the company: AI, impact, and games.
Okay. It seems very interesting. So one of my first question is you had a background in AI. I guess it was before large language models became famous with ChatGPT. Is that correct?
Yeah. It was honestly, it's funny because like the foundation, I'm not gonna get too technical, but like the foundation research paper that led towards ChatGPT, etc., came up in 2017. And I don't think a lot of people foresaw the commercial coming of this tech so fast. Like
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, at the time we're still working with traditional machine learning, I would say. No.
Okay. So that's very interesting. And did you actually got to read those papers like before ChatGPT?
Yeah, I mean, Nerds are gonna nerds. Yeah, I was always trying to keep up with the research, especially when we created the company.
Yeah.
I was looking into, okay, what is the new tech or the new research that could be very useful for us. For the funny stories, we got into the beta, the closed beta of
Yeah.
GPT-3 at the time in early 2020. And it was very, very disturbing for me because I am not going to turn your podcast into an AI technical podcast, I swear.
Yeah.
But just to give you some to explain it simply. Normally, at the time in AI, if you wanted to create a recommender system, you know, like for Netflix, like okay, you have an input and it gives you the good recommendations for what you want, and that were kind of the system we were working in at the time to help the game designers to choose the right mechanics for the game. Well, to do that, you needed a lot of data, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because without data, you cannot train a model.
Yeah.
And the particularity of this transformers model, like GPT-3, is like you could get incredible results recommendation with little data. It's like, you know, right now,
Mm-hmm.
if you want, it's like when you want to have like Claude or ChatGPT give you good information about your company or your work, you don't need to
Yeah.
retrain the model. You just need to feed it with your company documentation and it will adapt to it. But this kind of flexibility, it was
Mm-hmm.
completely unheard of at the time. And
I
so
see.
like one of the first prototypes we did was with the transformer, with GPT-3, and for the investors and people who were pitching at the time, it looked like black magic.
Mhm. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Well, now you explain me a little bit of how you ended up in the technical side. Can you tell me, like, how does creating a game look like? Can you just share an example of one of your projects?
So the one of the particularity of our game as well is like we almost never created games on our own. It's not like Ubisoft and say, okay, we love history and we love Assassin's Creed, so we're going to create Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
The purpose was always to partner with NGOs or institutions that had problems and to create a game that would help solve this problem in some fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the games we created that got the most attention, I would say, was one we did with the CNES, the French NASA, the Centre National d'Études Spatiales.
Yeah.
And so they wanted like to raise awareness about like this space care program they were developing because basically people, well, companies, government, they send a lot of stuff to
Yeah.
space and they leave it here because no one cares.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue is like this stuff accumulates. So
Right.
this creates like this kind of like debris ring around the globe. And the
Mm-hmm.
risk is after some time, well, we might not even be able to go into orbit anymore, or it might destroy the communication satellites we have there, like in Gravity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen the movie. Well, that was their problem, and they wanted to raise awareness in it. So we got in contact, and we said, okay, like what's your budget? What you want to do? What are the KPIs as a game? And like all of this process is not very
Mm-hmm.
common for a game studio because usually like you create something because it's fun and you don't have to think about how you're going to measure the impact of your of your creation on the problem. And
Right.
basically, once we had all the parameters, we did say, okay, like the goal is to reach as many people as possible, so it's gonna be mobile. And mobile is also very convenient because, I mean, you can do it for a lesser budget. And then like the difficulty was to create a game, like to create the mechanics that would efficiently convey the problem that we were targeting. And here it was, okay, it was to make people understand that companies, organizations that have stuff in orbit are faced with this dilemma. Do we get our satellites back on Earth, or do we
Mm-hmm.
leave it longer but we risk to lose it or to destroy even other satellites. So the game is called Orbital Dance. It's on the stores if you want to check it out.
Wow.
And the goal was very simple. It's basically like a kind of a runner, and the player has to decide by himself to end his run. So he has to basically kill his own satellite to save his points.
Yeah.
That's what the kind of a specialty, like trying to teach concepts through the game mechanics instead of just putting some message boxes in a game that has nothing to do with it. And once you have the concept, once you have the problem, once you have the concept, you create what we call a game design document, which is something that summarizes everything. Then it's sent to the artist who are going to create the mockups in Figma or something like that. And at the same time, and that's the thing that is tricky with game development, because you cannot just do things sequentially. You have to start coding even before the design of the game is decided. So you can create some uncomfortable back and forth sometimes. But once let's say you have your design document, you have your mockups, and then the developers can start coding it. And once the game is finished, you playtest it, you balance it. Balancing is very complicated because it's about making the game fun and enjoyable for everyone, which is quite a difficult metric to attain. Yeah, when you have all that, you can publish it.
And when you publish it, is open to everyone or just audience that your client that developed the game is targeting?
Well, it depends. This game was available to everyone because that was the goal of the client. We even put it in a museum in Toulouse in the Cité de l'Espace.
Cool.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was one of the things I didn't expect doing, putting a game in a museum. But some of the other games were in restricted access.
Okay.
For example, like the first game we created, it was also a space-related one. It was called the European Space Agency. They had a data problem. So, well, of course, they have access to a lot of satellites, but they don't have the capacity to analyze all of the data. So we created a game that would gamify the data annotation for people working there. And what gave us the idea, it was a bit grim at the time, but it was at the beginning of the company. And like during the summer 2020, it had like this big explosion in Beirut, like the port was completely destroyed.
Yeah.
And we were talking with some people working there, and like basically the government didn't know where to allocate the emergency resources because they were completely overwhelmed by everything. And basically, so okay, like we have all of this satellite imagery of like the buildings, but we don't know where to send the people. Could you imagine something that could help us? That's how we came up with this idea. Of course, we didn't apply to that because it would have been quite grim, but it raised interest for areas like deforestation, for example, making sure the certain areas in the rainforest in the Amazon was not being destroyed by gold diggers or stuff like that.
Wow, so it's very, very innovative. Like it feels innovative what you're doing. So you have been there for 5 years, 4 years? Yes? No?
Well, I actually left in July.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm still a founder, a partner of the company, but I left my operational functions 3 months ago. That's why I traveled that.
Okay. So can you walk us a little bit of you started as a CTO and then what happened during these 4 years?
So yeah. So it might sound basic for people who know a bit about entrepreneurship, but when you start a company, you actually do whatever needs to be doing that day. So you have a lot of, you can have a title, but but the reality is you're gonna do a lot of different things all the time. So yeah,
Okay.
I started as CTO and creating the prototypes for the fundraising, the first clients, etc. Then the company started growing because we got our first clients, we raised our funds, we started recruiting a team of developers, and I started focusing on managing them.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years after, I think it was in 2022, I switched position from CTO to head of research.
Okay.
Because, I mean, we were doing a lot of, research and development. That was always like one of the focus of the company, trying to invent new way to create games or like software that could help us go faster, etc., etc., etc. And that was kind of the thing that also interested me. So I started to focus a bit more on that, and we had a CTO come in that was more focused on the operational reality of the company.
Mm-hmm.
But that also led to a bit of an issue because we were quite successful in both in both departments. The company turned profitable in 2023, which was
Very fast.
yeah, it was a big achievement for us, and at the same time we won like some pretty nice awards here, like from the Banque Publique d'Investissement, etc. So
Mm-hmm.
it was going well, but we realized that turning our research into client deliverables was difficult.
Yeah.
And that sometimes you could have some kind of separation and split between the operational reality of the company and what we were doing in research development. And that was
Mm-hmm.
an issue. So that's why after 1 year and so in this head of research position, I changed again to become chief of operations of the company because we wanted to. I mean, the hope was by doing that, I was going to bridge the gap between research and operations,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked to some extent. It was also like at the moment where like the company was scaling quite a bit. Like I think at the end of 2023, we were like, more than 15. So it was starting to be like quite a little operation, at least
Yeah.
from at our own scale. So yeah, so we tried to bridge this gap between R&D and operation, but it was quite difficult because also like the clients we started having were a bit different from the one we had at the beginning of the company. I felt I was not doing like the like that I had done everything I could basically, and maybe it was time for me like to rebuild something new with all of the learnings I gathered there.
Was there a specific moment where you felt this?
Specific. I don't think
No.
so. I don't think so. For me, like managing a company, it's about specific moments, of course. It's about the moment where you raise funds. It's about the moment where you get your first client. But the way I live it was more of a day to day day operation. Like
Yeah.
and I realized that over the past X months, the things I were doing were different from what I was doing before.
Mm-hmm.
And also at the same time, I didn't want to stop pushing like my ideas in tech, in AI, in impact, etc. And I felt okay, like World Game is succeeding as the business, and I want the company to keep succeeding. Sometimes it's also part of that is realizing, that you should maybe take a step back, do things differently elsewhere.
I hear you. I think a lot of people in the audience, I'm sure they have been in this position that they need to take a step back. And what does taking a step back looks for you? What are you doing now?
So yeah, so I left the company in July. So I had really like some ideas,
Mm-hmm.
some new tech that was interesting me, some some people I wanted to reconnect with, etc. But I didn't rush because I was quite tired also.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to travel quite a bit in August and September. Like the one one of the signals you should take a step back is when you realize you haven't visited your family. I mean, if your family is in the country
Mm-hmm.
over more than a year. So I
Okay.
did that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
spent some time in Germany as well. I went to one of the biggest conference of gaming and tech that's called
Mm-hmm.
Gamescom in Cologne, which was very interesting because you can see everything that everyone in this space is doing, so that's very inspiring and it opens your mind to new possibilities as well.
Sure.
And then I went to Mexico. And Mexico, besides everything I said at the beginning, was also a very interesting experience for me.
It was your first
Professional.
time?
It was my first time.
Okay.
And I learned a lot, So I was hosted by this by this friend who lives in the center of the city and who works for the commission a commission that looks for disappeared people there.
Oh,
Yeah, so intense stuff, and we talked a lot about it. Explain me how things are working. So like they go to this remote area, they get tips from people, and then they deploy these huge search parties of like hundreds of people because I mean, of course, they need to be a lot. They need to be a lot of people because it can also be dangerous.
yeah.
And I realized I told him, but like, so everything you do is either by manual drone reconnaissance or people tipping you off that this area might be of interest for searching.
Sure.
I came up with so we worked together on a proposal that would imply using AI to automate automate satellite imagery analysis to help this commission to target new areas more easily. And
Wow.
it's just a proposal right now, but like it made me realize like the tech is not the problem, it's the way we apply it. I've seen so many people, talented people, creating impressive tech demos that are not leading to anything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very sad for me because I think right now we live in a moment where building products that can impact people it's never been easier.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me some new ideas. So basically right now, so to answer your question, sorry, I took a little bit of a detour. I'm
No.
working on I'm working on two projects. My main project is a new kind of game dash AI studio
Mm-hmm.
because that actually like use technology that I had my eye since a long time ago, and the idea is still the same. Is to allow people studio to create games for cheaper, faster, but also use the technology as a way of artistic expression. So the first game we are working on right now, it's still a bit hush hush, but I can give some details. It's a game that explore the world of depression and pathological nostalgia because this game
Very, very severe, very serious topic.
it's serious, and I've known people affected by that, and what I find is like it's a subject that is difficult to, I mean, empathize with if you have not lived it.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we are building that is with basically like there is no code. Like the game itself is an AI model that will
Mm-hmm.
generate an interactive video that will degrade over time. And in the game, you explore memories of this person,
Right.
and the world you're in will degrade as the longer you stay. And basically, you need to let go of your memory and move forward to build your new thing. And what I like about that is like not it's a demonstrator for the new technology, but it's also like a way to completely fuse the mean of creation and the message we try to send.
Yeah.
So that's my new project, and I'm creating a studio that goes with it. I'm trying to raise funds right now, so it's an intense process. But
Yeah.
also at the same time, I'm working on a hackathon, so that I'm organizing with some grandes écoles in November. So maybe I have the pleasure to see some SASI students there
Mm-hmm.
to address this issue I was telling you about from the Mexico story. That
Right.
we want to help NGOs, organizations to submit challenges they might have, and we want to enable students, people who want to build new products and have an impact, to work directly with the people who have the ideas and go straight to having, well, attraction and impact, giving them the tools to keep developing these ideas.
Right.
So yeah, two horses at the same time.
Yeah.
We will be right back.
SASI alumni, we want to hear from you. Join the next season of Keeping Up with the SASIs and share how you're making a difference. Fill out the forms in the show notes and let's turn your experience into inspiration.
Hey SASI grads, it's your SASI Alumni Hub, and we are bringing together every single cohort from the very beginning right up to the latest, connecting alumni and current students. We hold periodic events throughout the year that you won't want to miss. To get updates and invites, it's super simple. Just make sure you're registered on the official HEC alumni platform. That's how we reach you. So don't wait, join us.
And now, back to the show.
Yeah. I guess my first question is, I guess it's hard to do one entrepreneurial project. Why did you decide to do two entrepreneurial projects at the same time?
I mean, those are two very different projects, and I think it's also a matter of entrepreneurship is also about opportunity, and sometimes if you don't seize the moment might never come back. The one thing I don't want to live with is regrets. So
Yeah.
of course it's hard, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. You have your games-AI studio idea of
Mhm.
making games cheaper, faster, and to be an artistic expression. How do you find these ideas?
So those are two. My answer will be twofold. For the ideas, for the artistic ideas, I guess I find them, well, in the world I can observe, sometimes in the things I lived myself. So it's I like the idea of well, games being a way of expressing yourself as an artist, even though I wouldn't qualify myself as an artist, but it can be cathartic to work on a project that maybe can help you also work through some of your personal issues sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And as for the partners, well, it came from my previous experience. Like, having worked in this space for the past 5 years,
Yeah.
I met a lot of different. I met a wide range of people. People who just wanted to do gamification, people who
Yeah.
wanted to do like citizen science, but also people who were like interested in games or as artistic pieces, or who like wanted like to do things a bit differently. People who worked in big studios and who saw, and that's something I didn't we talk about, but like the gaming industry right now is in a very, very bad state because the price, the production costs of games have ballooned,
Mhm.
and it is becoming riskier and riskier to innovate, because when you have something that stayed in production for 10 years
Yeah.
and costed like $500 million, you don't want it to fail. So that's also like a systemic issue of this industry that I'm keen on solving. But that also means you have people who made a career in game studios and who want to see things changing. So I was lucky enough to have like some people who are really supporting me to try and make this vision come true.
That's great. I really wish you the best of making new projects. Like
Thanks.
this sounds very interesting. And then I had a follow-up question on working on the hackathon. So I guess hackathons are addressed to students, or at least that's the ones I have participated on. Why do you think the students are this right source to bring the projects that deliver the tools to the people that have impact in the NGOs?
So the hackathon, of course, but this one is directed mainly to students, but it's also open like to others. But
Okay.
the point being, the students, they are the professional of the future. I mean, the
Okay.
students, they are the children of our education system. So they have the ideas, they have the ambition, they have the energy, but sometimes they just don't have all of the skills or the tools that are necessary to make a vision come true. That's what we are trying to provide right now, because basically right now you have all of these AI tools. Like maybe you've heard of Lovable, or I mean, even like the Canva thing in ChatGPT, where you can create application even if you don't know how to code. So
Yeah.
my point is, like, if you can get experts, so a PhD student, someone who work in an NGO, to provide you with a very clear challenge, and you can get a team of students, and one of the things we really wanted to do is to get students from different schools. We didn't want to get students only from HEC or students from only UNED. We wanted like to see what happens if you get people with very different perspective working together in a group. Because also I think that's something that's lacking sometimes, like this kind of intellectual diversity. So you get all of these students together, and you provide them with all of the tools they need to create something fast. And with one goal, you need to get people using what you're building by the end of the weekend. And well, the hackathon hasn't happened yet, but I'm pretty optimistic about the results, because I've seen. I mean, I've been jury in the hackathon like the past few months, and what people can build in just a few hours is very, very impressive. I'm very curious to see it applied to real world challenges, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's very interesting. And I have always wondered, how does the business model of a hackathon works? Where's like, can you make revenues from hackathons? It feels that everyone is doing it there. Everyone there is doing it for passion.
So it's the business model of a hackathon is that it's not an easy one. I mean, especially when it's your first, because basically what you need to get is sponsors. And why people will sponsor your hackathon? For visibility. So you are trading exposure from your, I don't know, like the people you have access to, the mailing lists you can send invitations on, etc., for, well, either access to tools or participation in the cash prize, etc. But for us, it kind of makes sense. Like our main sponsors right now are tech companies, people who are providing the tools, because those companies have raised a lot of money. It's a very competitive market right now, and you have companies who have resources, but they don't have visibility because they may be not the first mover in the market. So they need to get people to use their tool to get feedback on how it works. And it's also worth it for them if the products, if the things that are built with their tools are something that bring value, that is not just like some toy people are gonna use for 2 days and just let go. So what we're trying to do is like, okay, if you support us, like your product will be used to actually build something in an ecosystem that is established with a different protocol, with some NGOs, and it will be used not to do something that will actually bring some good in the world. But that was the long answer. The short answer is you get sponsors.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I think you have cleared my doubts about it. I just from what you have shared with me, I think it's very clear that you have been working in a space that is innovative in a sense. I think games have been democratized in a digital platform. You have been exploring since your very earlier stages as a student with AI, and you have been faced with the reality of the environment, social issues, etc. I just want to hear your thoughts on how have you shaped your thoughts on the application of what everyone is calling artificial intelligence into sustainability.
Yeah. So that's, of course, I'm not gonna say it's not a difficult topic, because it is.
Yeah.
But I think it's a more nuanced topic that people might think. Of course, you can start from the basic contradiction. Like we hear every day about how like the quantity of energy that is being used to train and sustain AI, that you need to like people are creating like literally new I don't think like power plants to power the data centers.
Yeah.
It's an issue. It's an issue. But the other face of the coin is like artificial intelligence is using also this energy, and I'm not talking about people asking ChatGPT to answer jokes. Like AI can use this energy to solve some new problems very efficiently. And still, it's still in its infancy, of course. But I mean, as late as yesterday, one of the new models deployed by Google found a new application for cancer treatment drug. And it's if you look online, you will see people hyping it to oblivion, saying it's a revolutionary, etc. So it's not. It's a small step in the right direction, but it's an indication that I do think that AI will increasingly become a new way to pursue scientific discovery. It will not replace our brain, of not, but it's becoming a tool that will unlock more and more solutions for us. And also, one thing I want to say about that, it's for me, it ties into the growth problem. So, permanent growth is not sustainable, of course, but I do think that also we are growing the wrong areas sometimes. And there are some like areas that deserve to be growing and where we need where we could use AI to solve like real issues. Like for example, like the example I was telling you about Mexico and looking for people. Well, it doesn't even need like new infrastructure, but it could really make the whole process of looking for people and also protecting like people that they're like more efficient.
Right.
So it's a nuance. For me it's a nuance problem, and I do hope that we are with how we are changing right now our energy mix, it will also like diminish a bit the impact on the environment.
Mm-hmm. And I think you touch on very interesting points. And I think one of the most interesting is that you refer to AI as the initial stage of AI. I also had the question, given what you just shared with us, how do you think it's would you say it's the same, the initial stage of gamification, of nudging and framing problems in the sphere, or do you think like games have been always part of humanity and we are just exploring a new dimension?
I love the question. I do think that humans like to play. So, even if you look at the ancient history, you can find games that are like thousands of years old. So this idea of playing with your mind, challenging yourself, well, that's part of our nature.
Mm-hmm.
I do think also that the digital world brought upon us a lot of problems. And that's also like one of my main griefs with the world right now. It's like we live in a world that is ruled by the economy of attention.
Mm-hmm.
So every company, every product, every single app that you use on your phone almost is just fighting for your brain time.
Yeah.
And the issue is like a lot of things have been gamified. Like something as simple as your social media. That basically it's the doom scrolling. It's addictive because it's basically the same process that happens in people playing in cash machine in Las Vegas. You just scroll a bit more because you hope you're gonna get that dopamine hit
Mm-hmm.
on the next scroll, and you keep doing it like these people who spend their days in these dark casinos. and I hate it. I hate it because that's for me that's a perversion of the possibilities that are offered by this approach. You're right. Games are nudges. They are very powerful nudges. But the issue is like right now, these nudges are being hidden in dark patterns, dark UX patterns in most of our digital world.
Mm-hmm.
What I find a bit more honest about games, although you wouldn't believe some of the stories that went into like creating some games that are based on microtransactions, but I will not talk about that. But games are nudges that are more plain, frustrating. You're gonna play a game because you want to do something, and it will not hide its nature behind
Mm-hmm.
something else. So to tie up to your initial question, are we in the first stages of gamification? Well, it's a bit different than AI, but I do think we're gonna see an increasing. Sorry, I do think our lives will tend to get more gamified as time goes by, because also the mix, the superposition between our digital life and our real life is gonna become more and more pronounced.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about like the meta glasses. Not the one that, but like the ones with the screen.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I have a neighbor with one of them.
really? No.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So I've always been like fascinated by augmented reality. And I think as this technology becomes more and more popular, it will open, well, of course, new way of manipulating people, which is that. But also it will open new way to people for people to gamify their life and get motivated to do good things if they want to. One of the things I've seen, it was a demo, but when the Apple Vision Pro came out a few years ago, you had like this demo of these people vacuum cleaning their apartment, but the display was showing like Mario coins on the floor. So basically, like vacuuming the apartment became a game.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you're gonna see more of that in the future.
Yeah. I think I'll ask my neighbor. Maybe it will be fun to try it.
I mean, if you haven't, I strongly recommend it. It's a trip.
I know you're very busy, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I do have one kind of last question for you. You start this conversation saying that you weren't sure that entrepreneurship was the right path for you, that you weren't sure that that's what you wanted to do. You have been doing entrepreneurship, and you're currently being an entrepreneur. Is entrepreneurship what you're going to be doing for the next years or maybe the future of your career?
I will say a very honest, I don't know, but not
Okay.
not in a bad way. You know, one of the things I learned, it's to stop making plans sometimes.
Okay.
Like the best things that came for me to me in my life were unexpected. You know, it's opportunities that presented themselves, and that I felt crazy enough to jump and just go for it when I had the chance. I guess that's why also I love entrepreneurship, because I love taking the risk. I love doing things my way. And honestly, right now, I don't see myself going back to a big company. I think
Yeah.
that would be pretty. Sometimes I do imagine myself, but I'm not sure I would last very long.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I don't know. You know, maybe some next year, maybe not next month, but maybe next year or in 2 years, I will meet people that will present me with a plan, with a possibility that I will really like, and I will do it. But one, I think what's important for everyone who's might considering doing entrepreneurship is like just to be confident enough in yourself to know that you can take the risk, because especially when you're young, it's always really good to do it. But like what you do, you have the ability to rebound and get yourself out of a bad situation if it gets to that. Turn something that is not great into something great. That's also part of the thrill of the experience.
Yeah. I think I think every time we talk to an entrepreneur, they always use the word thrilled. So I hope I really hope your next years look thrilling. One last thing, maybe there is someone working at an NGO and wants to learn more about how to gamify their problems. Maybe we have someone in the audience who is curious about working in AI and how does that actually look like on the technical side. Would you mind sharing any of your channels where they can reach out and get to hear more from you?
Yeah, of course. So I have my personal website where you can when I share like some of my recent adventures, and I have my socials there. So it's very simple. It's beav, like beaver without the r .club.
Okay.
And and you can also check my new company website. It's called Alakazam, like the Pokemon.gg.
Thank you so much, Hugo. It's a pleasure to hear from you, and best of luck in your 2 entrepreneurial projects.
Thank you, and Pablo. And well, it was great to talk to you, and I hope we see each other soon.
For sure.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening and help us maintain our community one episode at a time. We will see you on the next episode. Blessings to you all. The content here is for entertainment and informational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization. Listener discretion is advised. This show may contain sensitive topics or strong language. Use the information at your own risk.